Hello everyone, today we will be talking about phonology. What is phonology? Phonology is a second part which is really closely related to the first part discussed in linguistics, that is phonetics. So the phonology itself is, when you see the level of language here, you will see that there is a closely related field of linguistics, which is phonetics and phonology, which discuss all sounds also for phonetics, and phonology is system sounds of a specific language. So phonology is essentially the descriptions of the system and patterns of speech sounds in a language. So it's a bit different with the phonetics because phonetics is more general, while phonology is more specific on certain language. Other level of language, morphology, syntax, semantics, and pragmatics, we will learn it one step at a time. And what is the phonology then? And this is the use descriptions that phonology is the descriptions of the system and patterns of speech sounds in a language. It doesn't mean that the phonology is different type of field. It is just like that phonology and phonetics can be used as a base to form the morphology, the syntax, semantics, and pragmatics of language. Next, we discuss about phonemes. So what do you think about phonemes? Each one of these meaning distinguishing sounds in a language is described as a phoneme. So note that we usually use slash mark to indicate a phoneme. So you see here, what's the difference between b and b? So the slash mark here indicate phoneme, as opposed to square bracket here, the B's in the square bracket, which is shown as the phonetic or physically produced segments. So this is the phonetic realizations of the phonemes. So have a seen, look at this, the following distinctive features of 4 English phonemes. We have p, k, v, and n here. The p is voiceless, minus voice, in comparisons to b, which is a voiced one. And both b and p is bilabial, so it's plus, and both are stop sounds. The next one, k, is a voiceless as opposites of g, the voiced one. And k is a plus velar, and it's also a stop k. The v one is a voice, labiodental plus and fricative plus. And we have also n here. So then you can describe a phoneme of p phoneme as minus voice plus bilabial plus stop in comparisons to the k voice, the minus voice plus velar and plus stop. So what are the phonemes and the allophones? The phonemes, each of the meaning distinguishing sounds in a language is called as a phoneme, while p with the slash here is a phonemes. The p in the word initial positions and p after s, like in span. So the very soft one is in the middle positions, and p in the final positions with the stronger stop in the end, like top. So it's slightly stronger than the middle positions after s, but it's lighter than the word positions, the word initial positions. All three of them are the allophones, which is the phonetic realizations of the phoneme p here. So the phones or the phonemes is different versions of a sounds type regularly produced in actual speech. while the allophone is the sets of phones versions of that one phonemes. So when you substitute one phoneme with another, you will create different word and different meaning. While when you substitute an allophone with another, you will still produce the same word with different pronunciations. Have a look at the following example. So we have phoneme t here and 4 variations of allophones of t, including tar, writer, butter, and 8. So for me, a non-native speakers of English, all 4 allophones here looks quite the same. But for native speakers of English, they will have slightly different sound variations. And you can only check the difference if you use softwares like, for example, like Prats or Elans to check the variations, the formants, and other features of the phonemes here. Next, we also have the complementary distributions. So if 2 different pronunciations or allophones of a sound type of phonemes, it's used in different places in words, it is called complementary distributions. So t is pronounced as a very strong t with aspirations in tar, and it's pronounced soft t without aspirations after another consonant in initial positions as in star. So this is an example of uh, the difference between allophones t here. The places where t occurs with aspirations and without aspirations never overlap to one each other. So in general, you might not be able to pronounce the second t here, the second allophone t in star using aspirated t. So you generally do not pronounce it as star, but you probably pronounce it like tar, but it should be a soft star because there is a complementary distributions between two of them. And we have another term here called minimal pairs and minimal sets. When 2 words are identical in form, except for a contrast in one phoneme occurring in the same positions, it is called minimal pair. So van and van here, those 2 words are very identical, except that there is a contrast in one phoneme between v and v in the same positions, that is word initial positions. Bath and math, bat and beat, math and myth, sit and sing. You see that there is a difference of phoneme t and and myth and mic. Next, when the words can be differentiated by changing one phoneme in one positions, and it's quite clear because they have different features, for example, like big and big, because they are quite different. Like one of them has voiced property and another one has voiceless property in big. So this is called a minimal sets. Big, big, rig, fig, dig, wig, fat and fit, feed, food, fall. Cat, can, cap, cap, cash, cage. So this is called a minimal set when words can be differentiated by changing one phoneme in some positions. See that in minimal pair, when you try to pronounce fan and van, it requires a higher degree of awareness to really understand the difference between both words, and it's a bit harder for non-native speaker of English because this is definitely a bit difficult without using software. So the phonotactics and syllables. What is the phonotactic and syllables? There are certain rules in certain languages, like for example, like in English here, you will have spree, but you might not have SRPEE, SRPE. You have spleen here, but you will not have LSPEEN, and so on. So there is arrangements of certain words or structures or phonemes and so on. And the permitted arrangements of sounds or sequence in the language is called as phonotactics. So for example, like you have fig, but you will not have sig with FSIG in English, or you will have ring, but you might not be able to produce sounds like RNIG, rinic, something like that. It doesn't, those both words do not exist in English. And if they are formed, so they are formed without obeying some constraints or sequence or positions of English phonemes. So the constraint here is called as phonotactics. And the phonotactics should be obeyed in certain language, and it might be different between one language to another, and definitely there are some specific constraints in each language, because these constraints operate on to considerations or the basic structure of that larger phonological units called the syllable. So if you see an example of the phonotactic constraints in English, you will see that it is possible to produce three C consonants at the beginning of a vowel, like SPREE, spree. So it will be like consonants, three consonants followed by a vowel. Or even you can produce three consonants plus vowel plus another three consonants following, like in strengths in English. But you might not be able to produce like five consonants followed by one or two vowels and followed by another five consonants, because that's impossible in English phonotactics. We also have a phonotactics uh, phonotactics gaps, which consists of two gaps: accidental gaps and systematic gaps. In accidental gaps refers to nonsense words observing or obeying the phonotactic rules of English. These words are nonsense, but they obey the phonotactic rules of English. For example, like we have brain here. It is possible in English phonotactics, but it's just nonsense. It doesn't have really meaning, because we have brick in English, like sockle, and we have buckle, and we have scribe here, we have tribe, we have shrub, and so on, and plant here. And the next gaps is the systematic gaps. It refers to nonsense words violating the phonotactics rules of English, like room, big, because in English doesn't allow M and B in the initial positions, like room. The English verb in the English words doesn't allow and in the initial positions. They might be in the following positions, but not in the beginning. Or slower, because the combinations of S, T, and L is not possible in word initial positions in English or any other positions. You might be able to produce structure like in structure S, T, and R, but not S, T, and L. So they have no potentials to become English words because they are not possible. And so it's a bit harder for native speaker of English to produce certain sounds. So for example, like you have new words like TikTok, Google, and so on. Those words also obey the phonotactics rules of English, so they are easier to be adapted to English words. Next, after we talk about phonotactics, we talks about larger units formed by the phonotactics rules in English, which is called syllable. So a syllable usually contain at least one vowel, or at least a combinations of a vowel and vowel-like sounds. So that's why in English you have you have I as a words consisting only just one vowel, and it's possible in English because that's the syllable rules in English, but it's not probably it's not possible in another language, like for example in Japanese or in Indonesians. We don't have such we don't have a word which has a meaning here. A syllable, definitely yes, but not words for a. And a syllable usually consists of an onset and rhyme. So what is onset and what is a rhyme? So the basic elements of the syllables are the onset. The onset consists of one or more consonants followed by a rhyme. So the rhyme can be consist of a vowel, which is treated as the nucleus, plus any following consonants usually described as coda. So for example, like the onset here in the word set, it could be like consonant S. The nucleus consists of vowel A and the coda of T, set, S-A-T, set. So there are some basic structures of the syllable found in English, including like CC, VC in green, or X. So you have X is V, vowel, consonant, consonants, and vowel, consonant, consonant, hem, consonant, vowel, consonants, I, just vowel, do, consonant followed by vowel, not, consonant, vowel, consonant, and some other variations of syllables in English. So that's why we have a consonant cluster, the combinations of consonant in both the onset and the coda. The combinations of ST in star is a consonant cluster used as onset in the word star, stop, and it can be used as coda in the word post. If you remember here, for example, in star, so the onset consists of ST, while in post, the coda consists of consonant cluster ST post P, P as an onset, nucleus O, and coda ST post. And the languages differ in what kind of permissible syllable structure in it. So there are some detailed examples and comparison here. Below are some simplified examples. In Hawaiian, most syllable structure consists of the vowel or consonant plus vowel. And in Japanese, it consists of three variations: vowel only, consonant vowel, or consonant vowel consonant. It's not possible to produce like consonant, consonant, vowel, consonant, and so on. While you see here that the English has about 12 or more variations of permissible syllable structure. English allows consonant consonants and triple consonant clusters, syllable cluster in onsets and codas only, but they are very highly restricted. So for example, like consonant consonants needs to follow the stop and fricative plus liquid and glide. So in that case, you can see that clap, plow, twill, swill, grit, and some others. While you have clap, but you cannot produce sounds like clar or class using Z and so on. And the triple consonants S can um, um, be followed by voiceless stop plus liquid or glide side, such as in splat, scratch, strap, and squirrel. So this is a quite complicated. You don't need to understand all things, but just understand that there is a certain permissible syllable structure in English, and English has very wide, about 12, but it's not like very free. There are some restrictions for those syllable structures, and these are more examples of phonotactics of English words. For example, we have 7 phoneme pattern in scramble here, like scramble. It's only have one phonemes, sorry, one phonotactics of words scramble with the 7 patterns, but it's not possible to produce more or longer types of pattern. We have also one phoneme pattern I, O, and so on. We have 2 pattern like on, it, B, and C, which consists of voice, vowel consonants and consonants vowel. We have 3 phonemes here, like a dog and cat, which consists of consonant, vowel, consonants, and it's, which consists of vowel, consonant, and consonants. There are some interesting um, phenomena here. We have about 18 types, examples of phonotactics, possible phonotactics of English words. So means that there are more examples of variations here. Next, we have 3 more terms about assimilations, nasalizations, and lesions, which construct a co-articulations effects. Co-articulations effects is the process of making one sounds similar or almost at the same time as the next sounds. Because usually when we talk in a language, we will talk fast and very spontaneous, so we require our articulators to move from one sound to the next without stopping. So this is an example. These are examples of assimilations, nasalizations, and elisions. First, for assimilations, you need to make a sound segments more similar to the next one. So you have voiced, and then you change it to voiceless one because it premediates and followed by voiceless. So like in have to, you have here using aspirate fricative, and you change it into have to because you make it softer to follow that the next one is a voiceless. Nasalizations, you add a nasal quality to a sound segments before a nasal sounds from non-nasals to be nasals. So you have pan here is not nasals, but because it is followed by a nasal sounds, it becomes pan with an which is nasalized vowel here. The third examples is elisions, which leave out a sound segments because in the consonant cluster, there is a consonant cluster, you reduce it because it follow the following consonants. So for example, like in must be or in have to, you have a must be here, you have st, and you reduce the sound here because to make it easier, and in pronunciations it will be easier to just pronounce it as must be. And in 3 syllables you reduce it into 2 syllables. For example, like prisoner, you tend to uh, reduce it into prisoner, like, or in library, you can also write library, and so on. There are some other examples which is quite interesting to find. So the co-articulations effects usually occur in casual conversation speech, and they are very normal in conversational speech, but not in writing. You need to remember that it's only common in spoken because it's not normal to just reduce forms in writing. Otherwise, your reader might not understand what you are talking about. So there are about 10 study questions from you. to enrich our understanding about these phonological basics of things. So thank you so much. Any questions, everyone?